Hi everyone, my name is Amanda Blackburn. I am the Marketing Director at Profound.js Software, and today I'm excited to be joined by one of our customers, Trevor McCullough. He is going to give us some insight and overview into the projects that they've been working on using Profound.js Software. So how are you doing, Trevor?
I'm doing very well. Yourself?
Excellent. Thank you. So before we jump into your demo, which I'm really excited you're going to show us that, can you take just a minute and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit more about yourself and the company that you work for.
But my name's Trevor McCullough. I'm the Director of IT for GenFoot. GenFoot is a footwear manufacturing company with over 120 years of experience in the field. We operate under the brand name Kamik worldwide. We have manufacturing and distribution facilities in both Canada and the U.S. So that's basically what we do. We manufacture winter footwear as our primary products. We also do rubber products for Walmart, for example, with non-branded rubber products. So we do a lot of footwear. We know a lot about footwear.
Tell us a little bit about the actual project that you were working on with your IBMI system.
It's all centered around modernization. Basically, the goals we're trying to keep up with ever-changing business requirements. We really needed to give our users better user experience. The green screens were just not cutting it. Plus, a main goal was to give our IT staff better development tools. Bottom line, we're trying to make our developers more productive. We realized, just going to a quick story, I went to Common in 2014. And I realized that we really had to push this modernization project forward. So what we did was we put together a quick roadmap, and tools were right at the top of the list. So one thing we did was we took our complete code base and we converted it over to free format with our CADS tool. The next thing on the list was our user interface, and that's where Profound came in. We decided that we were going to use Profound going forward. And we needed to develop, better applications for our users. I can remember being in meetings where I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I didn't have the tools to get there. So that's where the project started.
And which of the Profound Logic products did you end up using for your project?
Well, to tell you the truth, it's been ever evolving. We were using the Profound Designer, of course the OA handler. The DDS conversion tools, as well as Profound Mobile, and last but not least, even Profound.js. So I think we have like 95% of your tools in place, in production environments.
That's right. So you've got Profound UI, Profound Mobile, Profound.js. You're pretty much covering all the bases at this point. Who was involved with this project? Who was helping you create these new modern applications?
Well, Sarah Taylor was our newest software engineer. She came on board, and one of her first projects was to define which tool we were going to be using. And we put Profound Logic up against some of the competition. I already knew which one we were going to purchase, but I let her go through the whole process. And your tool won the. She was heading towards another tool, and then once she saw the real functionality, she came in line. Sarah was an intricate part of the project, and then obviously I have Ivan, Tim, and myself, which are senior developers and directors, helping her out and doing a lot of the real hard integration with the ERP systems and things like this. Because actually Sarah was right out of university when I hired her. She was a computer engineer right out of school, her first job.
Oh, wow. So it sounds like this was pretty easy for you guys to get up to speed with and to start modernizing your applications.
Well, with the roadmap, like I said, if I hadn't converted the code base into free format, Sarah would have probably left after 2 weeks, honestly. Once we started getting going, we started to get better and better with the tools. We're making better and better applications, and we're moving, the whole modernization project forward.
Awesome. Well, instead of me taking up more time talking, why don't you walk us through your projects and show us what you've been able to accomplish?
Sure. Okay. So this is Genesis 4. Genesis 4 stands for GenFoot Information Systems. This is like the 4th version we put out. The first version was actually a Microsoft, we tried it with the way back with .NET. Then we jumped over to Java because the .NET wasn't doing what we wanted to do. So we had it in years in Java, and the problem was we were having a very hard time maintaining it. There was only 1 or 2 developers that really were good with Java because we're primarily an RPG shop. So I realized back in 2014 that I needed to bring this to RPG and be able to extend it past RPG, honestly. So we developed this. What you're seeing now is basically our menuing system for Genesis. At the top, we've got the two buttons here, Canada, US. That is to flip from our Canadian company to our US company. So that's as easy it is. Now that's all, of course, it's all secure based on who your user is. Okay, so that's that. On the top, we're using the menuing system. So this is basically all different reports in our system. This is different applications within our system, and these are really related to ERP applications. So I'm going to quickly go into one of the first things we did was putting our catalogs online. We had a lot of problems, we've had a lot of problems in the past with the passing digital catalogs through email and through Dropbox, and it was always a mess. So we decided to put this in Genesis 4. So I'm going to just give you an example of how easy it is to pop up our PDF catalogs. And at the same time, instead of we put up the whole catalog as well, but we've sectioned it off so our sales reps actually use this system as well. And it is actually, most of it does run on an iPad. So we have our sales reps using it, we have our internal staff using it, we're using it in Canada, US, we're using it in Europe. So basically, by cutting up all of the different catalogs like this, it's easier for them to actually send pieces of it. In this case, we're looking at the kids collection. And just to show you, just to highlight some of our products for the kids, well, there's a brand new style that's will be available in 2019 from our winter collection. Let's see what else if we really quickly. Well, there's so many of them. As you can see, oh, here's a product actually made in the US, the Waterbug 5. Okay, so that's basically what we can do with catalogs. As you could see, we have all the different catalogs from winter 2016 all the way up to winter 2019. From that first window, they could actually download it onto their laptops or tablets and email it across to our potential buyers or their business partners. So that was that's an example of a simple but a very helpful new generation application, as I would call it. Okay, so that's one example here. I'm going to go into reporting now. So as you can see, I've got a breakdown of many different reports here. What we can do is on the main page here, we have 2 different tabs. One is our favorite reports and applications, and one is our saved and recurring reports. So this one's highlighted. So these are my favorite reports, okay? And these are my favorite applications at the bottom. So basically, you can build your own little menu. It makes it much faster to launch applications instead of traversing across many different menus to get exactly where you want to go. So one of the things I'm going to show you is an example of a previewed report. So in this report, I can just click on it, and it gives me an idea of what the report would look like if you ran it. That's the reason we needed to do previews on it, is that we have so many different reports that are dynamic, generated when you ask for them, with multiple parameters, that it gets hard to know exactly what different attributes are making up your report. So for example, if I clicked on here, now I'm in a new window that will allow me to set up my parameters and run this application, this report on demand. I can email it to myself and then I can forward it to anyone else that I needed to. So for example, you can see all the different parameters on the screen, that we have different date pickers. We can select we can go for customers and genders and divisions. I'll just pop up the division one. You can go in and select your division by just clicking the plus sign. Of course, everything uses the find and filter, so you can find things really quickly. It's standardized, so I'm not going to use it right now. You've got your on-off. You've got your pull downs for different reps. Basically, all the widgets work really well. And what I mean by the dynamic part of the reporting is that's one report, which is a fairly complicated report. And here's a very easy report with just a few parameters. So you can see the screen dynamically changes based on how the parameter set is set, which gives us complete flexibility over our reporting. So I'm just going to go back and show you. I'm going to run a report. I'm in here. I'm just going to go back to my save reports because you can actually give them a name and then save all the parameters and run them very quickly, because some of the reports have so many different parameters. You might want to run it one way on Monday and another way on Friday because you're looking at different companies or different divisions or different whatever. So for example, I'm just going to go back to my save reports and I'm going to click on this report. It's going to load in my all my parameters, which I'm keeping it pretty simple. I'm just going to try to run my report now. And it generated that report on the fly. So we can then again, we can download it, we can print it, we can email it, we can do whatever we want. Just to prove that this is dynamic, I can go back and I'm just going to say display shipped. I should get a blank report now because of the date range I selected in this report. It's a blank report. So we have hundreds of reports in this system that that we can give our different users access to. It's very flexible. It's fast. Our sales reps are using it for their statistics. Our marketing department is using it for statistics. Our accounting department's using it. Our warehouse is using these reports, these functionalities to reprint pick tickets or printing invoices, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we call basically dynamic reporting. So here's a report maintenance program really quickly. If I bring up, this is really only for IT, honestly. Bulk transfer report, search this. It's a very simple report with just a few parameters, but you can go in and you can move your parameters up and down. You can edit your parameters. You can set them as mandatory. You know, you can just control every aspect of the dynamic reporting. I just wanted to give you a rough idea about that. And I'm not going to save anything. I'm just going to get out, and here we go. Okay, so we've gone over some catalog, subcatalog PDFs that are on the system. We went over some dynamic reporting. Also with reporting, like I said, we could save the report and we can schedule the report as well. Once you give it a name, you can say, I would like this report every Friday afternoon for a weekly report, or I would like this report every month, month end, for example, for financial reporting. So it gives us a lot of flexibility. Our users love our reports because they're, it's so flexible, and everyone, if everyone's done a lot of reporting, you know that everyone wants a different sort sequence or a different parameter filtering, et cetera, et cetera. We do also have reports that go right into Excel where they can start manipulating them on their own.
So Trevor, real quick, can you tell us which Profound Logic products you've been using for this so far, just so people know?
Okay, so right now this is all RPG. Everything you've seen so far is RPG. Mm-hmm. The designer is, designer and the open access handler is involved here, obviously. Mm-hmm. It's all freeform RPG with all SQL embedded, for database processing. And we have used the DDS converter. I'll show you one example of that. That really hasn't been our focus, but we do have some applications that we have converted over mm-hmm. and integrated this into the portal or menuing system that we just talked about. This hasn't been our focus. Our real focus has been new application development, but there are some green screens that we've converted and brought along. So there's your DDS conversion tool that we've used so far.
And were you using Profound UI for the new development as well?
Oh, Profound UI was a key component of the new development.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I mean, the designer, if all of the front ends on the in Genesis 4 was the designer was used to create them.
Okay.
So everything is open access with the designer doing all of the front end work.
Gotcha. For your menuing, is that something that you guys created yourself, or did you use any of our tools like Atrium?
No, we did not use Atrium. This is one of your simple menu widgets in the Profound Designer.
Oh,
We
good.
decided that, yeah, we decided to use our own security model, our own service programs to handle security.
Okay, great. All right, I'll let you get back to it.
Okay, so that's an example of a converted application brought over into a menuing system that is controlling everything. So basically, you're running an RPG program that's being a completely new application that's calling an older application from the same embedded menu. So you see the flexibility here. So new application calling older application back and forth. The coexistence is fantastic. It works really well. Okay, so I'm going to go back and show you another, what do we call a new generation app, and this is custom catalogs. The whole concept behind custom catalogs is I showed you our catalogs at the beginning. One of the problems is even when we cut the catalogs up into different categories, kids, for example, a lot of times they only want to send 2 or 3 products to a different retailer. So to do that, we came up with custom catalogs. So for example, here you can actually go through and you can set a bunch of different parameters, and this is one of our collections for winter 2018. We're just putting up winter 2019 as we speak. So this runs on an iPad too, which is really great because our salesmen use iPads on the road all the time. So if I wanted to create a custom catalog, I could just click on, I'll just use one product, or yeah, I'll just use this Camrose. So I'm just going to select that Camrose and I'm going to say build a catalog. So I'll just go build a catalog. Then it shows me, I can do the preview, so I can preview what the page looks like. That's the page for the Camrose of our catalogs. And then I can add all of these other pages where are different pages in the catalog. So for example, the Kamik history page, I'm going to take a look at that. I'm going to add that in. I'm going to give this a new name, call it test, give it a unique name. And I'm going to just say create my catalog. So the goal of this is to create a PDF catalog. This is all iSeries stuff where we're meshing in the very first page of the catalog, then the history that we talked about. Oh, there's that 120 years I talked about. And then it shows the kids collection because that's where the Camrose is from. Then it shows the last page of the catalog. So we call these dynamic catalogs, and I can just download that to my iPad or to my desktop and print it or forward it in email, and it really cuts down on the problems that our sales reps have had. So it really solved a big problem for them, because before the catalogs were so large that they couldn't send them through email, and it was always turning into a problem with our customers. So that's an example of a new generation application, as I would call it. All the front end work was done with the designer, and the back end is all RPG. Okay, so that was an example of custom catalogs. I'm going to show you another one of our applications, which is marketing and sales maintenance. Okay, I'm just going to go and put in one of our products here. Bring that up. Type ahead widgets D18. I'm going to select that. Okay. Okay, so this is basically our marketing and sales style maintenance. So our marketing team can go in and put in different attributes based on the products, and I'll click on one of them right here, and you can see what I mean by that. So this is something that we could never do without using a tool like Profound. Like green screen, forget about it. There's 3 grids on this first page. Well, this application, the first screen has a grid. This tab, which is the same application, has 3 different grids on it. One grid for the style names, the style numbers. One grid for the technology that the product you are using, and also a grid for the hang tags. So, for example, if a marketing person needed to add an attribute, they could just go and click on one of these attributes. And once those attributes are associated with the product, then we can do reporting on it and filtering, and it actually ties right into manufacturing as well with all of our technology for the specifications, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. One other really cool piece of functionality in this application is the Style Image tab. As you can see by the applications that I've showed you, I love the idea of having tabs on it because it really gives you, it's much easier to navigate the applications. So with this screen, it shows we've got a grid on this side of our products, and if we're adding new images, we can just drag and drop the images up here. It'll take the image, it'll rename it based on our proper rules, and be available for all of our other applications, for example, in the custom catalogs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you couldn't, to build a tool like this, you need the functionality that the designer gives you. Or you have to code it by hand, or it starts getting a lot more, gets a lot more difficult. So there's an idea of one of our new generation applications with quite a bit of functionality, including drag and drop and image uploads. I should mention this. This is called our stitching scanning application. I'm just going to go back in here and I'm going to change it back to English. This was our first mobile product, even though Genesis 4 runs on our iPads. This application is tied into manufacturing. So basically what we do is in our sewing plants, we have modules, and in a module is everything a stitcher needs to make a complete boot. So what we do is we have to measure their efficiency. That was the whole goal, measure efficiency. So basically with this new app, each module has an iPad. They sign in at the beginning of the day through Genesis 4. They go to this application. They scan a barcode. Each iPad has a barcode scanner, little Bluetooth barcode scanner. They scan the case label, which is all directly integrated into manufacturing. The product shows up. It shows you the image, shows you the SAMs, which is basically the standard actual minutes, and it tells the operator exactly that they have 3 minutes and 45 seconds to make the boot. They make the boot, they package it, and they hit that green button right here, which would be pair complete. And all of a sudden, it's tracking your efficiency through the case that you're making, which is in kids' products is usually 12 pairs in a box, and it goes through the whole day to map your efficiency up. So it's very easy to use. They love it. It's bilingual in English and French. Like I said, we have a manufacturing facility in the U.S. and Canada. They also have this button here to product specs, where they can bring up the specifications of the product to see packaging details or special hang tag instructions or whatever else. They also have a few tabs at front here to give them information on what past cases that they've scanned, just to see keep track of what they're doing. They can also put in comments for the supervisors. Maybe they had a downtime with one of the machines or whatever, that information gets printed out on efficiency reports later on. So this was really our first mobile application. It was a big hit. The VP of manufacturing actually was looking at another application at the time, and I basically said, we have the tools to build this application. Before Profound, we didn't, but with Profound, we had these applications, and I basically worked out a deal with the VP of manufacturing that we would, in a very short period of time, that we would put this in place, and we did, and they're very, very happy with it. So that's an example of a mobile application. That actual application links to the monitoring application. This is an example of the floor in our Canadian facility. Each one of these is a module, and it would show efficiency, real-time efficiency throughout the whole day. So basically what we do is we have a big screen monitors, or in some cases multiple monitors on the wall, and it's watching efficiency through the whole plant. And it actually goes color-coded, meaning green, everything's fine, yellow, a little bit of a warning, red, you're running under efficiency, and the supervisor would come over to see if you have a problem with your machine or packaging or whatever else would come in. We're also adding a button on the iPad where the operator would hit the button saying that she has a problem with a machine, for example, calling the mechanic would come over and take a look at what was happening. It also shows the product names, the product images, and the name of the people and machines and their efficiency. I'm sorry that right now the plant isn't running, so all that information isn't available. But I believe actually next week they're going to be running actually. Okay, so I think that gives you a good idea of the applications that we've done. We've also got planning applications for manufacturing, which are kind of complicated, so I'm not going to go into that. We also have return authorizations, which is great for the warehouse because it really simplifies the whole process for the warehouse. You know, they basically scan barcodes, hit a few buttons, and they start that whole receiving process. It's creating the barcodes they need to scan into our WMS. It's really straightforward, really simple, and it works really, really well. Okay, so for the last application I'm going to show you is really the focus of our new development, and it's going to be the way we move forward, and that's Node. We've been looking for the RPG is doing really well for us. There's no doubt about it, but we need a language that gives us a little bit more flexibility in some examples. And we've purchased Profound.js, and we've used it so far for mostly integration projects with our B2C B2B website, which is Magento. We've used it for integration projects with Amazon, UPS, a lot of calling of web services. Yeah, that's the primary focus that we were using it. There's a ton of great packages to help us speed up our development. So that's why we're using it, and that's why we're so excited about it, because of the concept of open source and and NPM. The packages are just amazing. So here's an example of one of our first applications, which is with the user interface. We call this the available cell. So basically the whole concept here is that I have different report numbers here, and I can go in and I can create my own report for available cell. We have many products, and you want to subsection them the way you want to see them. So for example, salesman A might want to report for a specific customer, so they might want product A, B, and C. Another one of his customers, he might want product D, E, and F. So the whole idea is you can go in, you can create your own report, and then you can get the available cell for that report, so you can send it to your customer and hopefully get an order at the end of the whole process. So I'm going to go into one of my working reports here, and I'm going to go into details. And as you can see, a new tab opened up with the ATS report lines. These are the products that I'm looking at right now, which is the Rocket, Momentum, Mackenzie, Jennifer, and the Rocket 2. So I can go in, I can add lines, I can go and change a line if I wanted to. The amount of lines of code to generate this application is very, very low. So from this, if I wanted to see the available cell for Rocket, I could just click here, okay, and just go display. Okay, so it's basically bringing me all those parameters. I click on the select button, and I have a grid full of all the information that I need. It's showing me availability, it's showing me what I have in stock, it's showing what I have future availability, showing my size scale at the top, and units. The one thing I really like about this is the grid is changing as we're going. As you can see, I'm using header rows here for this size. All of a sudden I'm breaking out a new subtotal here because the color's changing. And as I go, you can see that I'm dynamically putting in new rows into the grid. That gives me a lot of flexibility. That gives me a lot of flexibility, and it ends up being a really nice grid. From here, I can go and change things. Let's say if I only want color BLK, I can just select that, and there I just have the color black. Or I can go into different genders. You know, it's very easy to use. This is still a prototype. I don't have the look and feel exactly the way we want it yet. It's still a little busy in some places, but the functionality is what we're working with right now. Basically, the menuing system is RPG. We went into a Node application. Okay, This Node application is actually calling RPG programs to gather this information through our ATS report generators, which are servers on our iSeries. And then I'm going to call ATS report to get a PDF report of this. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going back to our reporting tool, which is an RPG. So basically you've seen RPG calling Node, Node calling RPG, and then Node calling RPG again. So it's seamless the way this works. So it's really a great tool to play with. One thing you should realize here is that these different tabs are actually different programs. And that's the way these tabs are actually individual programs. So it makes it much more modular in design. So much easier to debug, much better scope of variables. Instead of that large monolithic program that has everything in it, it's very, 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 very concise. So that gives us a lot of flexibility. And that's one of the big goals that we're trying to get with Node. And it gives you the ability to use JSON objects, and once you start using them and being able to dynamically change objects or dynamically change objects as you go, for example, loading that grid, it really gives you a lot of flexibility. But that's it for us. We have a lot more applications, but that just gives you an idea of where we are right now. We're very happy with our productivity. We want to get better, and that's why we're using Node, but this has really given us, I call it our new generation, new generation apps. Gives us a lot more flexibility, and it's really changed the perception. Honestly, it's really changed the perception in our office about our development environments.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, that was, and first off, thank you for showing us all of this. What has been the change in your company? Have you noticed any improvements since you guys have rolled these out?
Absolutely. Actually, I'll tell you a funny story. Our VP of manufacturing knows an individual from a major IT company, and they set up a meeting just yesterday, and they came over to our offices. And they're iSeries experts. They really know the System I. And I basically went over our whole environment with them. We do have a brand new Power 9 installed. We are running 7.3 TR5. So we're really up to date with our IBM I technology, including Profound. We're running the most recent version of Profound. They looked over our environment, and they looked over some of the things and some of the applications we've done. And then I went into our next application development environment being Node, and I showed this to them, and they were absolutely amazed. They could not believe how far ahead we've come.
That's awesome.
Well, actually, yeah, it was pretty good. The VP of Finance. VP of Manufacturing, we've been telling them that we're up to date and we're keeping going, and he's seeing great applications coming in, like the we call it KISS, which is the Kamik integrated sewing system, that iPad generation application. There's another one I didn't show you, which is for our injection molding team. It's pretty complex, real-time scanning, real-time statistics. So he's manufacturing is definitely seeing the new tools, and they love to be able to drag and drop their specifications into, uploading the specifications, and all those specifications are being used in the different applications across the enterprise. So the perception has changed. Everyone who looks at it goes, "You're running on an iSeries?" Yeah. Because we do have older green screen applications as well, which some of them I will modernize, and some of them are, cache application is fine. I don't need to modernize that. But I also need these new generation applications to move the company forward.
Right. Exactly. And the fact that you've been able to do that with a single tool set, essentially, or an integrated tool set, you can do so many things. So you guys have done, node development, you've modernized your existing green screens, you've created new applications, you've created mobile applications. So you guys have really been able to show your business everything that's possible on IBM I.
I think we still have a little bit more to show with Node, honestly. But
Yeah,
but like I said, when I roll back and say I've been in these meetings, go back 3 or 4 years ago, saying I know what I want, I know what solutions I want. I've done a lot of Java myself, so I mean I could have done this in Java, but the problem is my team can't keep up with the Java. It did just we tried and it didn't work well, and that's why I got off the Java and started to focus right on the RPG as the core component, realizing that you need to have an open source play. You need to be involved in open source.
right. And that's what we've discovered too, is that so many companies that run on IBMI, staying native, staying on their systems, and also being able to make, the RPG components modern, but also being able to integrate as a language like Node.js, which is, essentially, JavaScript. It's easy for developers to pick up and use, and you can use it right on your IBMI, and you don't have to use, languages like Java, which a lot of people find very disruptive and difficult to integrate.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, we have Node running. Actually, right now I have 3 Node servers on the IBMI, which is test and one test and 2 production. And I also run Node on Windows as well. I have a production node for Windows, and then we run development through Windows as well. So we've actually configured the Genesis 4 here that as you're running, you can point the application to whatever server you need to by user.
Nice.
So exactly. So the one team that's using a most recent version might be going to one of the production while I'm going over to test.
Right.
I got my own laptop. So that you can set up the test environments very, very easy.
It sounds very seamless. It sounds like there's not a lot of disruption or going back and forth. You guys are able to create and roll out your applications pretty seamlessly.
It's honestly the integration with the other ILE languages, or this one's, it's almost considered an ILE language, right?
Right.
But the integration is seamless. Calling another RPG program is so simple. Calling another Node program is simple. Doing SQL, embedded SQL in the Node scripts is very easy to do, and the JSON objects you get back are so flexible.
Nice. Well, I am really excited for you guys, and I'm so happy that you took the time to talk to us about all that you've been able to accomplish. We're really excited to see what you guys do in the future. But in the meanwhile, I just wanted to thank you, Trevor, for taking the time to talk to us today.
Well, thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
Excellent. And for everybody listening, please visit profoundlogic.com. You can get started with all of our tools right away. Free 30-day trial that you can download right from our website. And we'll talk to you guys soon.